Hi there, I'm Michelle the Painter, and this is Paint and Sip at Home. Alright, so today I'm going to be painting Ocean Dock, and I'm sipping on some peach tea. And if you enjoy this process, I do hope that you like and subscribe to my channel, and that you also check out my Patreon page where you'll find additional painting perks such as this one. So this painting that I did today is inspired by a photo that was submitted by one of my Patreon members by the name of Shelly Ferguson. I have a benefit for my members whereby every now and again I'll put out a call for photos. They'll submit the photos and then I turn some of them into YouTube tutorials, and as a thank you I'll send the original painting off to whoever submitted the photo. So if you're interested in learning how you could submit your photos to me, or more about the Patreon membership program, because there's a bunch of other benefits that you get to use that will help to increase your artistic and your painting skills, I have all of that information down below in the video description. So now it's time to let's get painting and let's get sipping. Alright, so for my materials today, I'm going to be using a stretched and primed 10-inch by 20-inch canvas. If you're painting along, you can certainly switch up the size, but that's what I'll be using. I'm going to be using acrylic paint today. My colors are titanium white, phthalo green, ultramarine blue, deep yellow, burnt umber, which I like to call brown, Mars black, and fire red. And of course you can switch up those colors if you like. For my tools today, I have 3 brushes from my personal brush line, which is Michelle the Painter brushes. I have a 3/4 inch wide flat bristle brush. I have a number 6 bright synthetic brush, and then I have a number 3 round synthetic brush, and I might refer to them as small, medium, and large, or I will just call them out as I use them and as they're given names. Of course, you can switch up the brushes as well. If you're painting along with me, you'll probably want to have a cup of water for washing your brushes, as well as a paper towel for drying your brushes. And down below this video, in the video description, I do provide you with a few additional resources that can help you throughout your painting process. One of them is a link to my shop where you could purchase the same exact paint kit that I'm using, from the same size and type of the canvas to the same type of paints and brushes and all the good stuff in between. You can also purchase from my shop things individually, like the brushes from my brush line. So that's there. There's also a link where you can download a free image of the final painting. So you can print that and use it as visual reference as you go through the painting process. And there's also written step-by-step instructions down there for you as well. And that's all we're going to need today. All right, so what we're going to do for the first step is we're going to be painting a base coat onto the canvas. I'm going to be using my large bristle brush to paint, but I'm going to be using my number 3 round to pre-mix 2 custom colors. So the colors that I'm going to be using in this step are blue, black, white, green, and yellow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-mix myself a light blue color and a light green color. I'm going to be painting the base coat onto the sky with my light blue and a little bit of white, and then I'll be painting the base coat onto the water with my light blue, green, blue, and white. So what I've done is I've pre-mixed my colors on my palette here so you can see where I'm headed. So this color here is what I'm going to call my light blue. How I achieved that is ultramarine blue, and then I added gray to it. So a little bit of black, that's probably too much, a little bit of black and a little bit of white. So I'm in essence desaturating my ultramarine blue to make it kind of like a mid-tone, chalky, soft blue. So that's a little bit too dark, so I'm going to add a touch more white and maybe just a touch more blue to get this into the vicinity I'm looking for. There we go, that looks nice. So that'll be my base coat for my sky. I'm going to wash my mixing tool wash and dry my mixing tool, and then I'm going to make my light green. So this color here is mostly white with just a teeny tiny touch of the green because it's very powerful, and a tiny touch of yellow as well. And this is going to make me a nice tropical sea green, greenish, bluish. It's definitely green, but it steers towards the cool side of a light green color. So this is where I'm headed for that. And that'll be a good dominant force in my water. So once I've got those two colors, then what I'm going to do is I put my mixing tool away. I'm going to take out my large bristle brush. I'm going to put a little bit of that light blue on my brush, and I'm going to find myself about where I want my horizon line to go. So I'm going to have my horizon line just a tiny bit above my halfway point. So if my halfway point is about here, I'm maybe about a 1/2 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch above that. And then once I've marked it on this left-hand side, I can take anything as a measuring tool. I could use another paintbrush and say, okay, I did this mark this far down. I can mark it with my finger, and then I can make as many of those marks at about the same height going across my canvas. This just gives me kind of a visual stopping point for my sky. So once I've got that visual mark, I can just pick up some more of my light blue color. And I'm just going to go back and forth, left to right. This is just the first coat of my sky. That's why I'm calling it a base coat. So if as you're painting you see scratch marks or it doesn't look fully finished, that's okay. This is just laying down the groundwork for it. And then we will, in a future step, make it look nice and soft and so much better. So I'm just continuing to pick up my light blue, kind of getting these markers to connect. They don't have to be perfect at this point, just kind of giving myself a nice start. And then once I've got the whole thing in this blue tone, I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of white on my brush, on my dirty brush, and just kind of lighten up just a little bit, kind of the center, maybe a little bit more towards the bottom, but not all the way down towards the bottom. So what I'm seeing, I'm using a photo reference to help guide me through this painting, and what I'm seeing is the sky is a little bit lighter, kind of right in through here, so that's what I'm attempting. So now that I've got that, I don't even need to wash my brush. I'm going to now pick up a tiny bit of ultramarine blue and my phthalo green. So just a little tiny bit on the tip of my brush. This is going to start my water. So I'm going to just kind of go right back and forth in through here. Again, doesn't have to be super straight at this point, but for me, I find that the swifter or the faster I go sometimes on these horizon lines, the more I can just kind of get a straighter edge to them. Again, I don't need it perfect at this point. We're going to have other steps that will help to get this to go straighter, but right now this will just kind of get me started. I'm thinking that that's a good enough start on that. And then as I'm coming down the water, I'm going to pick up a little bit more of my ultramarine blue on my dirty brush. Just picking that up so I can get some more blue tones in that water. And now I'm going to start picking up my light green color on my dirty brush. And I'm just going to go back and forth, left to right. I don't need it to be anything perfect right now. Just kind of getting those tones on there, giving me this nice tropical water to work with as I go through the painting process. And I just keep picking up my light green at this point, going back and forth, left to right. And I'm using my dirty brush so that this way you're going to see some of those darker blue tones just kind of releasing themselves onto the canvas, which is fabulous because it just gives us more dimension and diversity in those water tones. So again, just kind of continuing to pick up that light green. And you can push your brush a little bit harder. That'll release some of those blue tones. You can, even if you wanted to, you can certainly pick up some of the light blue if you wanted to and add that in there. That might, if you're feeling like it's too solid of a color, you can certainly just pick up a little bit of that light blue and kind of dapple that in there a little bit. And then once you've got this done, we are going to be using this same large brush for the next step, so you can just wash it and dry it and get ready. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to paint the sky and the clouds. I'm going to be using my large bristle brush. The colors I'm going to be using are ultramarine blue, light blue, white, red, and that might be it. So this sky has very airy, puffy clouds going by, but the bottom of the clouds kind of disappear in the atmosphere. And there's some drifty stuff happening too. So well, I'm going to use this brush. I'm going to use very little bit of paint. I'm going to be adding a little bit more of my ultramarine blue at the top, kind of softening my gradient a little bit in the spots that I need to. And then I'm also going to be working on my horizon a little bit. I'm going to be adding a tiny bit of the red to my near my horizon, maybe a little bit in some of the clouds, just to give my blue a different hue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my light blue. So this step I'm going to be using very little bit of paint on my brush, and I'm going to just start at the top so I can get just a little bit more of that ultramarine blue kind of hue up at the top of that sky without making it too drastic of a difference in the sky color itself. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of my light blue, and I'm seeing that the big clouds are kind of coming in through here and here, so I don't really need to do too much on the sky behind it. Just want to make sure that everything looks like it's fully executed and that I don't have any scratchy marks or unpainted spots on the sky itself. So there's going to be a big cloud over here too, just making sure I've got this all in here. I'm going to pick up my light blue plus a teeny tiny bit of white, and when I say teeny tiny bit, I mean a teeny tiny bit, just a little tiny bit to keep that kind of little bit of a lighter tone right here in the middle of the sky, something like this. That looks pretty good. And then over on, as I get towards the bottom of the sky, and you can see I'm hardly using any paint. I'm just going for kind of smoothing out the sky right now. As I get towards the bottom, this is where I'm going to use a little bit of my light blue plus a dot of red paint. And I'm going to just go across my horizon line. And it's going to be okay if I bump into my water a little bit. This is going to just allow me to get myself a nice even kind of horizon line. Picking up a little bit more of my light blue. Just kind of scooting this across. Again, it's okay if I hit my horizon line because we are not done with our water yet. And then just a little bit more of my light blue in through here. There we go. And then I'm going to start working on my clouds. So now that I've got this on here, and you can see it's not totally smoothed in through here, that's just because those are going to be where my clouds are going to go. So I am going to wash my brush because I feel as though I don't want the red that's on there to taint my clouds yet. So I'm going to wash my brush. Washing and drying. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up just white at this point because I know that some of my clouds are going to be really light at the top, but I have a couple of drifty clouds behind them. I have one kind of up here that I want to tackle before I hit my big fluffy cloud. So I just picked up a tiny bit of white paint. There's a kind of a horizontal drifty cloud back in through here. So again, I'm wiping my brush off on my paper towel because I do not want to have a lot of paint. I want it to just kind of, I want to stay in control. And for me, the less paint I have on my brush, the more control I remain. I'm seeing these little kind of fluffy, airy things behind my big clouds, so I'm just kind of using this as an opportunity to put those in there. There's a little kind of one over in through here, and then just a couple little floaty things going by in through here. That looks pretty good. And then now I'm going to go into my big clouds. So I'm going to pick up just a little bit of white on the tip of my brush, and I have a big cloud right, I would say right in through here. So it's really bright up at the tippy top, and then there's another kind of bright area kind of somewhere in through here. So I'm just going to start with my white and allow myself kind of to let it thin out on top of the blue background. So this is going to make it look like it's just kind of blending into the atmosphere of the sky. So if yours doesn't kind of blend in like mine did, you can always pick up a little bit of your light blue in order to help you along. So that would allow you to get those little sections that'll be a little bit more blended with one another. I feel like that should be a little bit lighter in through there. A little bit more drifty stuff over here. And then there's some big clouds over here. So I picked up, again, a little bit of just white. There's a big, huge cloud that's very white up at the top in through here. And then it kind of goes out like that. So these clouds, what I'm doing, I'm tackling them a little bit differently than I normally do. I normally am say, let's just go from dark to light, but they're really kind of, they disappear in the atmosphere. So I thought, well, let's just start with the white on our brush and let ourselves run out of paint, and it'll run into our atmosphere. So that this is kind of a fun, simple way to go about getting these clouds to really dissipate into the atmosphere by just letting your brush run out of paint. And that's going to make it look like they're disappearing. Just like your paint is disappearing, your clouds too are disappearing into your atmosphere. And again, you can pick up a little bit of your light blue as you go down towards that horizon line and just kind of put in little bits here and there to get those to blend in just a little bit more. And you can always pick up a little bit more white. Like I feel like there should be a little bit more in through here, so I'm going to pick up just a tiny bit more on my brush. And I'm just putting these, I can't stress to you how little paint I have on my brush right now. Just itty bitty bits. And I'm of course using the photo to guide me into where I'm placing my clouds, but you could of course make yours in whatever formation that you want. There's another one up in through here, so I'm going to pick up, this time I think I'm going to pick up a little bit of white plus my light blue, because this one doesn't seem as light as these two. So white plus my light blue. There's one right kind of in through here that just kind of pops in front of this one, which is fun. I may even need to go darker around the edges of that one so you can see it in front of the first one. Let's see, like that. Yeah, it looks like, so in order for me to see this one in front of here, there looks like there's a little dark edge around it. So I'm going to actually pick up a little bit of my dark blue and just give it a little dark edge around it. I might have said dark blue, I meant light blue. Pick up a little bit of the light blue right around the edge. And if you felt that you wanted or needed these edges of the clouds to go any darker, you could certainly add a little bit of black or a little bit of brown to them, or even a touch of that red. So if I go into my light blue plus a teeny tiny touch of the red, and I'm tapping it off on my paper towel, I can get that little bit deeper hue, like at the bottom of the cloud, or even a little bit more of the ultramarine blue. So you can steer the depth of that cloud by just adding a couple little darker marks and getting it to sink in a little bit farther. I'm thinking that that's looking pretty good. I don't really feel like I want to or need to do anything else to this. If you feel like you want to add more, maybe this guy can be a little bit lighter up and through here. Just a little bit more white on my brush. Get this guy to have just a little bit more excitement up and through here. And you, of course, can make yours as bright or as subtle as you want. Those are going to be the decisions that you make all on your own. And then once you've got this into a place that you are pleased with and ready to rock on to the next step, we are going to be using this same brush for the next step. So you can just, if you can ever get this step done, you can wash and dry this large brush and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to do the next layer to the water. I'm going to be using my large bristle brush. The colors I'm using are ultramarine blue, brown, phthalo green, yellow, light green, light blue, and white. If I use any other colors, I'll let you know. So what I'm looking to do here is give myself a pretty solid horizon line. And then I'm looking to put, from the reference photo, the main light areas and dark areas. So it's pretty darn dark up at the horizon line. And then there's this really light patch of water kind of going in through here and maybe back here a little bit. There's almost a brownish layer in through here where I imagine is the most shallow part of the water, and it's actually sand underneath. So I'm seeing tones of like brown and gold to represent the sand color. So I'm going to be imparting some of that in through there. There is a big shadow underneath the dock, but I think I'm going to hold off on putting that in there. I might start it a little bit, but I don't want to overcomplicate this step too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up at the horizon line with a little bit of ultramarine blue and brown on my brush. So not a lot, and you can even put a tiny bit of water on your brush. This will help you to give yourself a pretty smooth horizon line. And then what I'm going to do is you can certainly check yourself and see. You want to kind of go with the lowest spot, or the highest spot actually, of your paint mark. So I can see this dark mark is right kind of in through here. And then I'm going to make myself just a couple more marks at that height. Did that work? Oh, let me just recheck that. Hold on. Yeah, that was a little bit too high. Something like this. And this way, if it's skewed at all during the sky process, this will help me to just kind of straighten it up a little bit. And of course, you can certainly do whatever you need to give yourself a shot at getting these. See, that one's dropped a little bit. Let's go up just a little bit. There we go. So now I can sit here and I can connect my dots. So I just kind of go across like this. This is a little bit browner than I want, so I'm picking up just a little bit more blue on my brush and going across, keeping my eye on the prize, which is the next dot. A little bit of water on my brush, and that will help me to just kind of steer my way into the next dot. And you can of course mask this off if you want, or you can use a ruler, whatever helps you through this process. So now that I've got that on there, I can pick up a little bit more of my ultramarine blue, and you can even pick up a tiny bit of, say, your phthalo green, and just an itty bitty bit. I don't need a lot, and I'm going to just kind of go back and forth over what I had already established up at the top with this additional layer of color. So I'm using a little bit more of the green, and the brown, of course, I didn't use on the first shot. And this is just allowing me to add different tones into the water. I'm picking up a little bit more of my ultramarine blue and just kind of back and forth, left to right. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my light blue right now because I'm seeing just little kind of hints of additional kind of sparkly stuff. And again, I am going to be doing more to the water. This is just really helping me to establish my tones and stuff. I just put a little bit more of my light blue just to incorporate with those darker tones, giving myself what I'm feeling is a pretty good representation of the darkness to it. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my light blue, my ultramarine blue, and a touch of my green oxide, phthalo green, all on my brush because I'm feeling some little darker tones over in through here. So this is where you're going to start to see all these colors with that light green underneath is now going to be giving me these more tropical type of ocean tones. So if you've ever had the pleasure of traveling to, or you live in a tropical type of environment with shallow waters, they tend to have a lot of these greenish blue type of appearance to them. So that's what we're going for right now. I'm picking up just a little bit more of my ultramarine blue. I feel like I can end a little bit of the light blue. I feel like I can get some of those tones over in through here. And again, just kind of using my photo to steer me. Now I'm picking up some of that light green on my dirty brush because I feel as though there's a bunch of that light green in through here. And again, I'm just going back and forth left to right because there is a little bit of movement in the water that I'm seeing, but it's not a terrible amount. So I'm going pretty smooth, but I'm not doing big, huge waves. I just picked up some light blue and some ultramarine blue to come on over into this side, over in through here. And you can see there's lots of different colors right now. I'm going light green plus light blue right now, giving myself a couple of different hues in through here because I'm sensing it's a little bit different shade over, it's more bluer over on this right side than this main area over on the left side. So I'm just kind of incorporating these bluer tones over in through here a little bit. And again, I'm just being steered by a photo. You can certainly make yours into whatever display you want. This could be really smooth or not. And in through here, this is going to be more of that light green, but it looks a little bit deeper in tone here. So I'm going light green plus a teeny tiny touch of my phthalo green. This is going to be kind of underneath that. There's going to be a little dock hut thing that I'm seeing some of these deeper greener tones in through here. And as I come over towards this left-hand side, I'm seeing some lightness in the water. So I just picked up a little bit of white on my dirty brush, in through here, a little bit of white. I don't want it to go all the way white, but I definitely am seeing some lighter tones. And then over on this left, this is where I'm seeing some dark tones up and through here. So I'm going to go with a little bit of the ultramarine blue and maybe a touch of brown too. So ultramarine blue and brown on my dirty brush. And the only way I'm able to do this in the manner in which I'm doing it is because I hardly have any paint on my brush. If I was to pick up big globs of paint, I would definitely need to wash my brush in between. This wouldn't be drying as fast. I wouldn't be able to keep layering it like I am. So just know that that's my big old trick here. So now I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of brown and just a teeny tiny dot of my yellow. I'm even wiping it off on my paper towel, and a little bit of that light green. So again, just teeny tiny dots. I'm going in this bottom left-hand corner to give myself this more goldy, kind of sandy undertone to it, and just kind of making it talk to the section above it. So something like that. I can even pull, looks like I can pull some of this over into here a little bit, and even I'm seeing a little bit of it down here too. So tiny bit of brown is going on my dirty brush right now over in through here. So when I do stuff like this, I'm really kind of just looking for a color pattern to start my wheels spinning, picking up a little bit of white because I feel that this is really light back here. So white and maybe a little bit of that light green. I'm looking for those color patterns to steer me into making this into a believable rendition of the photo. So for me, I'm just watching where am I seeing those light tones, where am I seeing the brownish golden tones, and then we can tweak them after with more refined details. I just picked up a little bit of light green and white. I feel as though this could be a little bit lighter in through here. There we go. Thinking that that's looking pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to call it on this step, and then I'm going to be using my bright brush for the next step. So once you've got this done, you can put this large bristle brush away, take out the bright brush, and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to finish the water. I'm going to be using my number 6 bright brush. The colors I'm using are black, blue, white, light blue, light green, brown, yellow, phthalo green. I think that's it. I don't think I'm going to be using red, but I'm using every other color that's on my palette. So what I'm in essence going to do is I'm refining what I already have put in place. I'm also going to be putting in place the shadow that's going to go underneath my dock. So that's going to be a big dark area that's just going to be kind of like a diagonal type of a line. And then I'm going to be putting a little bit more movement into the water and just making it look a little bit more realistic and finished, because I see I've got lots of little unfinished areas that need another pass. So I'm going to be using this brush because this is going to allow me to get more slender kind of ripply type of marks and more kind of controlled marks than the larger bristle brush. So I'm going to first start with my dark areas and work my way to the light, so that way I know where I want that shadow to go. There's a little dark patch over here, there's some dark patches over here, and that'll help me go. I am going to start by making myself a dark blue color. So I'm going to use my number 3 round to premix a dark blue color, which I have magically done on my palette here. So this is my dark blue. How I achieved this is ultramarine blue with a little bit of black to darken it a little bit, and a touch of white. So in essence, again, I'm adding gray to my ultramarine blue to get what is a soft, dark grayish blue. So that'll be my dark blue. So once I have that, I'm ready to go. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that dark blue color. And again, if you have, you can go over that horizon line as many times as you want. I feel like I want to do another pass. So I have a brush right in my hand right now that has better control. So I can take this and I can kind of go right back over that horizon line, making any little adjustments that I feel might benefit me. In the photo, I'm seeing that the top of the water in the horizon is pretty dark. So that's why I'm allowing myself to still just kind of use this dark blue. And then I'm right after that horizon line, I'm seeing some of those teal colors, those greenish blue type of tones. So I've got my horizon line nice and laid out, and I'll come back and put some of these more teal type of colors right next to it. But again, I want to just kind of hit these dark spots first. So I've got dark up at the top. There's going to be a little tiny island in through here that's got a little extra darkness around it. So I'm going to just kind of use these dark tones to kind of amplify those dark areas that I want to emerge later. So I am using a little bit more paint on my brush than I had in the previous steps. So this way I make sure I've got some firm coverage. Ripples or waves are going to seem less ripply the far away they go. So as I'm doing this up towards the top of my canvas, I'm not going to be maneuvering my brush in very jarring type of points on the water to make it look super ripply. I'm really just kind of going back and forth left to right because it'll appear smoother the farther away it is. And then when I get towards the bottom of my canvas, that's when I can start to put a little bit more movement in the water. So a little bit down here, I'm seeing a dark spot somewhere in through here. So I'm going to put that. And if your dark blue isn't as dark as you want it, you can always add a teeny bit of black to your brush, just an itty bitty tiny bit of black to your brush, and you can get a tiny bit darker of an area if you want. Not necessary, but if you did feel like you wanted to make it just a little bit darker, you can certainly do that. There's a little line in through here. And again, I'm just being guided by a photo. You can, I think that's even lower than it is in the photo, but that's okay. On this left-hand side, just going in for a little bit of that dark blue. And we've got a little patch in through here, which I already started on my previous layer. So I already started it. So this is just kind of me amplifying it, making sure it's got as many little tones in it as I want it to. And it's making it look like it's got that that appearance that I'm seeing in the photo. I think it's actually up a little bit higher. And then I've got my, let's see here, there's a little bit more darkness in through here too. I've got the shadow underneath my dock. So that's going to come up almost halfway between my horizon line and here. So somewhere in through here is where I've got this shadowy area. I'm going to make it even darker in a minute, but this is kind of going diagonal. So I'm going to just take it out probably, this goes pretty darn far. So somewhere in through here. So this whole area in through here, I'm going to allow for these dark tones. And you can see I'm not coloring it in a solid color. I'm allowing it to just kind of take on these almost little jagged edges along the sides, because those are going to be intermingling with the watercolors. So I don't necessarily want it to be a solid dark mark. I want this to look like it is part of the water with little ripples in it and stuff. So I have got it going diagonal, but my marks themselves, I'm kind of doing them a little bit horizontally, but that looks good for that start. And there are some darker marks within that shadow. So I just picked up a tiny bit of black with a tiny bit of water on my brush. I've got some even darker marks in through here. So I'm just going to kind of dabble in a couple of little additional dark marks. I will refine all of the details under the dock when I put the dock on. But again, this is just kind of allowing me to understand where that shadow is going and give me those, start with those tones and stuff. So that's pretty good for that. I'm gonna wash my brush because I don't want to hinder myself with that black on there. I'm gonna pick back up a little bit of that dark blue because I feel as though this should be just a little bit further down in through here. And then I'm gonna start working my way towards the light tones. So now that I've got my dark blue on there, I do feel as though I need a little bit more darkness with the brownish tones, like brown and greenish tones down in these bottom areas and maybe in through here. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of my phthalo green, light green, a touch of yellow, and a touch of brown. So all four of those colors on my brush at the same time, on my dirty brush yet. So this is where I can really start to get these additional kind of tones within that water. And now you can see I'm starting to use more of like a little wiggly type of brush stroke in order to get them to look like they have a little bit more movement to it. And I can pick up a little bit of light green as I'm going in order to get just these little additional ripples kind of going. I see some of these lighter tones in through here, and I'll put more of the light tones in a minute, but right now I think I want to go back to my yellow brown kind of combination on my brush with a touch of white just to get these brownish tones kind of in through here. And I'm seeing like almost little lighter sparkly marks on top of the water in through here. That's where I pulled in a little bit of the lighter tones with a touch of white on my brush. And right now, again, I'm just kind of making these little marks that are resembling tiny waves on top of the water. But all those tones are coming from either reflections from the sky or stuff underneath the water. So whenever I'm doing water, those are the kind of things that I'm thinking about. What is making up this color that I'm seeing? Oh, I probably should have gone to that darker area, but it's okay. I just picked up white with a little bit of, I'm going a little bit of light green right now because it's seeing like it's pretty light in this area, but still some of those little golder tones. So as the water gets deeper, it's going to show less of the sand effects in the water itself. So that's where it gets to be more bluer as it's going out towards the horizon, because the water's thicker out there. This needs some more work here. I'm picking up a tiny bit of yellow, brown, and I think I'm going to go yellow brown in my light green right now. Let's see what that does. Yeah, that's perfect. Maybe a little bit more brown. And again, I'm just kind of layering this as if, you know, what I'm seeing in the photos. So I don't need to do much. I'm just kind of looking for those color patterns. It's got a little bit more gold and stuff in the water and through here. Again, probably because it's more shallow. So that's where I'm headed with it. If you feel that you want it, or want it to be more of a, just a singular color, you want it to be more just a placid, like there's not much ripples in it, you could certainly, I'm going to actually, I feel like I have too much yellow on my brush right now. I need to wash my brush. You could certainly just go smoothly back and forth, but in the photo I am definitely seeing movement in the water, so that's where I am giving myself, allowing myself to make these little kind of diagonal marks with these various tones. So that's going to show all of that movement in the water. And I'm trying to keep it in a direction that I'm seeing in the photo. So I'm seeing like that there's these little kind of marks coming up in through here. So I'm allowing myself to make those marks in a similar direction. That's looking pretty good. I need this a little bit lighter in through here. And then over in through here, I feel like this needs to be darker. So I'm gonna go for a little bit of my light blue and my phthalo green. Light blue and phthalo green, and that should deepen it up a little bit. Now I need a little bit more. I'm gonna go dark blue and phthalo green, just a itty bitty bit on my brush. There we go. That'll give me those deeper, greener tones, those more teal tones coming in through here. And then I'm just going to pick up a tiny bit of my phthalo green with a little bit of my light green, and that'll give me even greener. So again, I'm just kind of following what I'm seeing in the photo for the color patterns, but as you're going, and you may not even have access to this photo, so you can certainly just go with whatever you're feeling as far as the color patterns go. It gets a lot lighter back in through here, so I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that light green plus a touch of white to give myself some lighter hues back in through here. And again, just kind of going with the direction in which I'm seeing the ripples in the water. So in the photo, I just picked up a little bit more white because this is nice and light back in through here. Well, there's even a little kind of gap between my shadow and that dark area that I seem to have neglected. But again, your rendition does not have to be exactly as this. This is just giving you a jumping off point to show you how you can create a tropical type of water scene with all of these beautiful colors in it. I just went into light blue and my light green to get a little bit more finished look back in through here. And then I feel like I need some more going on over here. So I'm going to go for actually some ultramarine blue and my phthalo green on my dirty brush right now, just kind of allowing for, because I had some of those lighter hues on there as well. So just kind of finessing this a little bit, maybe a little bit of my dark blue in through here. And again, I'm just allowing myself the freedom to make all of these different colors appear, going into my light green plus a touch of white right now, or just light green actually, because I feel like that could enhance this little guy and through here. So the lighter marks on top of the darker marks is going to show that there's more movement in that water. You can enhance this by increasing the contrast in your colors. So if you wanted it to have a little bit more depth to it, you can darken your darks and lighten your lights even more. I just put a little bit more brown on my brush to get this to sink a little bit deeper in through there, and then maybe just smooth this out just a little bit, or add little pockets of a little bit darker in through here. I'm thinking that that's looking pretty good. So I will look at this from a distance. Once I feel like I'm all done, you're probably going to want to do little tweaks to it, but I definitely feel as though I'm in a pretty good spot with it at this point. I'll probably set my head back a little bit once the camera goes off to see if there's any little fine-tuned tweaks that I want to do, but I feel like it's in a pretty good spot right now. And then once you've got yours in a place that is suitable to your painterly eye, we're going to be using, I feel like I want to use the small number 3 round brush for the next step. So once you've got this done, I'm picking up a little bit of my light green and my light blue right now just to kind of lighten this stuff up behind here. Once you've got yours into a place that is suitable to your painterly eye, you can, this is where I can't stop. I try and I try and I try. You can put this brush away, take out a smaller detail brush, and get ready for the next step. All right, so what I'm going to be doing for the next step, or what we're going to be doing for the next step, is painting the base coat for the dock and the island. I'm going to be using my number 3 round brush. The colors I'm going to use are brown, black, and white. And what I'm going to do is, I'm having a little tiny island off in this top left-hand corner. I'm going to be putting a couple of palm trees on it. And then we've got a big long dock that has just like the top of a tiki hut kind of thing. It's just a boat dock with no boats on it. So I'm going to start with my little island back off in the distance. I'm going to pick up a little bit of brown and white on my brush at the same time. Excuse me. And I'm just up at the horizon line up here, and I'm going to give myself, just put a little bit more moisture on my brush. I'm just going to give myself a little kind of jutting out piece of land. So this is going to end up being the beach in which my palm trees are sitting on. So something like that. And I will refine this in a little bit. I just want to get the base coat on here, putting it in a similar spot that it is in the photo. And then I'm going to just put a little bit of water on my brush with a touch of black paint. I didn't wash my brush, so there's going to be little remnants of the brown and the white on it too. And you can make up these trees. I'm making them up. They're not even this way. The photo itself does not have palm trees on it, but I wanted to put palm trees, so I'm just putting my own little palm trees on here. Just kind of pulling these fronds out, and you can have yours whatever way you want. And I will definitely do another layer on this in a future step. I just kind of want to pull out some little bits in through there, and maybe I'll have another little one off on the tip in through here, or 2, I guess. You can have whatever you want. It's fun little palm trees. You can do whatever you want with them. So that's good with that. Now I am going to shift my attention to the dock. So I'm going to be using a combination of brown and black on my brush. Brown and black. I'm going to give myself a marker, a couple of markers, so I know where I want to shoot for. So on the left hand side, I'm going to be, if this is about halfway up or down my canvas, that's where I'm going to put my first marker. So somewhere like right in through here. Then I'm going to go down from that, maybe about 1/2 inch, give myself another marker. Now I'm going to go all the way over to the right side of my canvas. Again, I'm using black and brown with a little bit of water on my brush. And I'm going to go right about in through, let's see, is this where I want to go? Somewhere right about in through here. So this is maybe about 2.5 to 3 inches from the edge of my canvas, and maybe about 1.5 inches from my horizon line. I'm going to give myself a little vertical line that's maybe about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch tall. I'm going to connect the top of that to this one and the bottom to this one. And I'm just going to do a long horizontal, vertical, or horizontal diagonal kind of line. And again, I'm just going to keep my eye on the prize, which is my other marker, and just give myself a long mark in through here. So what I'm doing is I'm making a really long dock that is closer to the viewer by just a little bit on the left-hand side. So that's why it's going to be a little bit wider on this side than it is on the right side. So again, brown and black. And if you can see part of your water underneath this right now, that's okay, because this again is just the base coat, and this is gonna have quite a bit of information on it by the time we're done. And it's just an old wooden dock, so if yours is not perfectly straight, no worries, nobody's gonna judge you. And something like that. And then you can just color in whatever little spots you can see between your lines. And again, just black and brown. So you can see some of my areas are lighter and some of them are darker than others, because one, I'm using brown and black, so I'm not pre-mixing them. So at some points the brown is going to be more dominant, and other times the black is going to be more dominant. And I'm also using a little bit of moisture. So the water that I'm using on my brush is providing me with more diversity in the colors, because it's going to take on some of those colors underneath or allow it to be a little transparent. So that's going to be the gist of where the dock is going to go. Don't worry about it being perfect. We still need to do lots of stuff to it. This is again just getting us going. So now I want to put my roof on that little tiki hut thing. Again, black, brown, and a little bit of water. This roof is somewhere in this vicinity, so you can almost go directly up from this right-hand corner and then maybe just over to the left, just a smudge. That'll put you at the corner. I'm going to do a horizontal line to the left, but it goes down. I mean, it's a little thatched roof, so you can just kind of sketch it on here. You can make it go down a little bit if you want to. You can even kind of bump down a couple of little frilly things. I'm going to make a little triangle like that, and then I'm going to go over to the left hand side, maybe about 2.5 inches or so, give myself a little dot. I'm going to make another little dot that's about the same length of this line, and then I can connect these two like that, and then these bottom two like this. And this thatched roof is really kind of rickety looking. So I just picked up a little bit of black. Excuse me. I'm going to put a little bit of black in through here, just kind of tapping my brush on this side. And then I'm going to pick up brown for the left side. So this left side will be a little bit lighter than that little triangle piece. And again, we'll finesse it in the future step, but this is just getting us started. And then once I've got that on, now I'm free to make my little posts and stuff. So I'm going to put the posts on for the roof first. Again, I'm just going to use a combination of my black, brown, and water. The posts for the, or the poles, posts, whatever is holding it up, the thatched roof part are going to be more narrow than the ones for the dock. So I'm going to find myself a little in from this corner and just making myself a vertical line down to the dock. Going to the right of that a little bit. Another vertical line down to the dock. And you can see my lines are definitely not going to be perfect. Let's see, where's the other one? Somewhere right about here. But I'm not pressing my brush hard, so this is allowing me to get a little bit more narrow lines. I'm just trying to put them in a similar spot to where they are in the photo, but again, you can put yours wherever you want. Then there's another one kind of right on this corner. There's another one right here. And just bring them right down to the dock, even if they're crooked, because the bottom parts of those are actually going to be hidden anyways. 1, 2, and then we got another one right in through here. So that's good for those. Now there's bigger ones that go down to the water. So these will be they'll be thicker than those ones, probably about twice as thick, if not 3 times as thick as those. And they go right down to the water, right in this shadowy mark. So there's one on the edge of here that goes down to the water. And I'm just pushing my brush a little bit harder. There's actually one that almost goes on every single one of these, but they go just above that horizon line. If you want to make it look like the photo, these ones go, and this one touches that side, or a lot of these ones up at the top, underneath the tiki thing, they touch those skinnier ones. So that makes it pretty easy to find where they're going. And again, I'm just pushing my brush a little bit harder. There's one right here. And just push, and again, it just goes right above that horizon line. And I'm just going right past my, or right on top of my dock. And then this one too. And you might opt to use a different brush as you're going through your process. You might find that a different brush would benefit you to use. And again, the stuff underneath the water, or where it's hitting the water, will make that look better on a finessing step. This one's got, this one just goes right between these two guys. So I'm just going to connect those two. I'm pushing my brush pretty hard. You can see I'm pushing it hard, which gives me a nice consistent width to my line, or weight to my line, however you would like to say it. There's one right here. And again, this one touches this one. And I'm just going right down to the water. And then there's one halfway down this one right here. So this one goes here and comes down right into the water. Looks like there's a couple of confusing ones down here. Something like that. Then there's one more up in through here, like this. And then there's, I'll get to the ones coming down the dock in a minute, but there's a couple of other skinny ones up here going horizontally, the rails. So I'm going to hit those before I forget them. So again, just black and brown and a little bit of water. It looks like they are just kind of going like this, to here, to here. Oh, they kind of almost just go right across these guys. Not super straight, I'm noticing, but something in this direction, like that, just to that one. And then there's a close one here, a close one here. This one kind of dips down and up, and then one up in here. I think I got them all. And then my ones coming down here, they're just similar to these wider ones. And I'm watching like how high are they compared to like these ones. And they seem to be a little bit shorter. They seem to be about the height of this one. So that's where I'm headed. And they vary a little bit because one is closer to us than the other one. So like this one back here is about this height. and I'm just going to go down to the water. So again, I'm not terribly concerned about making these exactly as they are in the photo. I'm just trying to put them in a similar spot. I am, so you know, half of them are going to be on one side of the dock, and half of them, well, half of them are going to be on the far side and half of them are going to be on the close side to us. But allowing myself to just paint it in a flat coat like this allows me the liberty to just not worry about painting around the dock at this point to get one post to pop on our side, one post to be on the other side. So this was an easy way for me to figure out how to just get them on here in a believable kind of way, and then with our highlights and shadows and stuff, we'll be able to make one look like it's on the other side of the dock and one on our side of the dock. So those are just little tricks that you can do to expedite your painting process, because sometimes the details can get overwhelming when you've got, you know, one thing on one side and another thing on another side, and how do you get them all to, you know, work together and work all your details around them and stuff. So just finding that kind of common color that will work with them, work from one side to the next, and just painting that flat coat will help to do that. I think that that's all I want to do on this step. Maybe just kind of take my brush and get these to wiggle into the water a little bit. And then once you've got this done, I'm going to be using this same brush for the next step. So you can just wash it and dry it. You can see how I just kind of wiggled that in to the water, so I didn't have those looking like they were floating. Looks good to me. I'm going to wash and dry this brush and get ready for the next step. Alright, so what I'm going to do for the next step is I'm going to finish my cute little island. I'm using my number 3 round brush. The colors I'm going to use are brown, yellow, white, and phthalo green, and maybe some light blue. That might be it. So I just want to finesse it a little bit more, put a tiny bit more detail on it, and call it a day. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of white and a touch of yellow. So I'm in essence kind of going for a little bit of a light yellow color. And I'm going to put just a little hint of, oh, I just hit some of my wet dock. Little hint of just light yellow right at the top of my sand. So it really looks like there's, you know, some brightness to that. Then without washing my brush, I'm going to pick up a little bit of brown, and I can take that light yellowy color that was on my brush with a little bit of brown, and I can pull that sand out into the ocean. So it almost looks like it's just kind of merging with that ocean itself. You could even just kind of pop it down over and through here. If I want to at this point, I could also just wipe my brush off, pick up maybe a little bit of my phthalo green and my light blue, and just maybe put a little bit of thinner water right around the edge of the island. Oops, I just picked up some light green. It's okay. Any combination you want, but just something a little bit lighter right around that the base of the beach, so maybe it looks like it is a little bit more shallow right in through there. That looks good. I'm putting a tiny bit of water on my brush so I can just kind of pull that out just a little bit. There we go. And then I can do anything I want to my palm trees. So I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to use a little phthalo green, yellow, and a touch of white, and just put some little bright kind of pops of green highlights on here. I'm really just kind of tapping my brush. I don't need this to be anything hyper detailed, because these are really just far off in the distance, but I did want to give them some kind of coloring to them, so I'm just popping those kind of colors on. Then I can pick up a little bit of brown and white. I don't even know if I said what colors I was using in this step. Brown, white, yellow, green, light blue, maybe. So I'm putting a little highlight on the trunks with a touch of brown and white, just to give them a little extra bit. And you could always pop on little coconuts in the middle if you wanted to. Just whatever little accents you want. If you want some little beach grass, anything that you feel would kind of elevate your palm tree island adventure. And then I think that's all I'm doing to it. I don't really need to do much, just kind of have fun with making my little palm fronds. And then I'm going to be using this same brush for the next step. So once you've got this done, I just picked up a tiny bit of white. Once you've got this done, you can wash. We're going to use the same brush for the next step. So you can just wash it and dry it and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to finish the dock surface and its poles and the water below. So I'm going to do the thatched roof and the little tiny details in a future step. So I'm going to be using my number 3 round. The colors I'm going to use are black, brown, yellow, red, white, light green, light blue, and dark blue. So all my colors except for ultramarine blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-mix myself a tan color, because this will be the slats on the top of the dock, which I have magically made on my palette here. So this is my tan color. How I achieve this is a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, which is going to make like an orangey tone, a touch of brown, and then white. So if I had gone just brown and white, it would have been a real kind of dull tan appearance. And I want this to be a little bit more richer of a tan. So that's too pink. So just a dot of red. So I need to add a little bit more yellow and white to my equation here. So yellow and white to get to the color I had wanted. So think of this as like a light peachy type of a tan. That's probably too rich. I'm just adding a little bit more brown and a touch more white. So this is how I do it. I came up with my color initially to show you guys, and then to recreate that color, I might not get it on the first shot. So this is my process. I just add a tiny bit of paint at a time to adjust it to where I want. There we go, that's looking nice. So once I've got this, and this is, believe it or not, actually kind of like a little bit lighter than my skin color, so a similar tone to that would be great for this highlight wood, washed out wood tone. So once I've got that, I'm gonna put it in some strategic spots. I'm going to, it's a lot on the surface of this, of the dock, and then a little bit at that end. So I can leave, as I'm doing this, I'm gonna leave a little bit of the dark edge at the top in through there, and some of this bottom side, which would be the right hand side of the darkness. So I'm just going to kind of give myself a little sliver of this, and I'm going in front of my posts right now to make my job easier. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give myself, and you'll see why I'm doing this in a minute, because this is going to be a way easier way to do it than to try and work around all those posts. So again, just kind of giving myself the top dark line that I'm leaving is smaller than the bottom light line that I'm leaving. So I can, you can start anywhere. I just want to, it kind of stops right in through here. Right in through here. There's just a little sliver of it. So I just wanted to kind of give myself that marker, and then it gets a little bit wider and wider. There we go. Something like this. Well, that was an easier way to do it. I can start at the skinny end and work my way to the fatter end, or the wider end, and just push my brush a little bit harder as I'm coming this way, like this. And then once I've got that on there, I can go to the front of my dock with this same color. There's a bleached spot right at the edge of the dock, right in through here, right up to this post, and it's just this little sliver of an area at the edge of the dock. So it goes to 1, 2, 3. I'll just pass this third post right in through here. Something like that. And it's just a little sliver at the top. I got a little thick piece of paint there. So now that I've got that light area, what I want to do, I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to put a couple of other tones in here so it looks like a wood slat. So I can wash my brush and pick up a little bit of brown with a touch of water on my brush, and I can just make a couple of like diagonal marks right on top of this. Just faint. I don't need to, and I'm going diagonal, super diagonal, kind of diagonal. Maybe I'm going a little too diagonal, but that's okay. So something like this. And you're not going to see them all because they're going to be bleached out. Some of them are, I can't even hardly see any over here, but I do see that there's kind of some different tones over here. So maybe just kind of add a little bit of brown on top of it, or, you know, just varying tones so it looks like it's got different tones to it. I can pick up a little bit more of that creamy color, the tan color that we created, and I can even pull in some extra highlights with that color, because I did it kind of thin on the first go around. So I've got my bright slats of the wood. I've got a couple of dark marks in between to make it look like it's got that bit of diversity in it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to put the posts back on our side. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of brown and a touch of black and a touch of water, just a teeny touch. And whatever one's on my side, I see that it kind of comes right down to the dark area. So I'm going to just kind of pull it down like that. It's going to be this one. So you could leave a little tiny bit of that light, but it doesn't really matter because you're gonna paint over it in a minute anyways. Then it's this one. So I guess just go straight through. I'm gonna just tell you to go straight through. Straight through. That'll be easier. Straight through. And now we're putting that post back on our side of the fence. Of the dock. So it's this one, that's behind, this one's on our side right here. And then that one's on the other side, this one's on our side. And this one, it stopped there, so we didn't have to worry about that one. And then 1, 2, 3, these are all covering the dock, or that light line. So I'm just gonna cross this back over, like that. Now I've put them on our side of it, of the fence. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick up black paint, and a little bit of my brown and water, because there's a couple of little poles or braces that are underneath the dock. So right here, this kind of comes out in a diagonal, and it squares off right there. So this is putting the more information underneath it. So I'm just going to go down diagonal, just a little diagonal, and then color that in. We got another one here, little diagonal, color that in. Same thing right here, little diagonal. Oh, it's probably too much, that's okay. Well, I think that one actually comes out a little bit. Color it in. And these aren't necessary to do, but again, it's just if you do want to go that extra mile to make it look like the photograph and make these realistic kind of either architectural features or just characteristics of that particular building, these are the steps to take. You want to take it that extra mile and put these little extra doodads and stuff in through there. And then I think there's one more that goes from this third one, 1, 1, 2, 3. Well, I probably missed one there. Oh, there's this one, 2, like that. And then there's one more at the end here that goes 1, 2, 3. And again, feel free to do that or not, you know. So once I've got that, I'm gonna let that sit for a second. I'm gonna go down into the water with my dirty brush. It's got a little bit of black on it. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of my dark blue too. So black and dark blue. I just wanna make sure that I've got, even if I want to have a little reflection of them, I'm gonna go a little brown too. You can put a little tiny reflection and water on my brush, a little tiny reflection of your post, which I'm kind of seeing just a hint, not a lot. So just little tiny bits. It doesn't come out very far. It almost comes kind of straight down. But I'm more concerned about making that post look like it is in the water and not just kind of floating. So these are just kind of really subtle little reflections. Like, I don't want it to look like it's hovering. Floating, it is kind of floating, but I don't want it to look like it's hovering. So that's where I want to make sure that I've got it kind of grounded in that water. So this looks like there's little tiny reflections. I'm putting a little bit more water on my brush just to make sure that I've got this little bits of darkness in through here. And I'm just kind of going just ever so faintly, because I'm just seeing it faintly in the photo. It's a little bit darker under the building here because there's probably more shadows from the dock itself, or the tiki part here. So I'm just adding a little bit more darkness in through here. And it's little tiny bits. And again, not much paint on my brush at all, just allowing for those subtle kind of reflections that I'm seeing ever so faintly. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my light green on my dirty brush, so that way I can kind of get maybe a little bit something extra in this reflection. There we go. Something like that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the little dock edge, and then I'll finish the post. So the dock edge, I don't need to do a whole heck of a lot. I'm going to pull in some black. So black with a little bit of water, and just make sure that I have some good detail underneath here. This is going to be just the edge, the wood edge. This is just what I'm thinking is a shadow of sorts. This is going to be dark underneath here, so I'm going to put the far leg is going to have the far post will have a black shadow to it. And again, just black with a touch of water right now, just giving myself this extra bit of darkness underneath here, because I used brown the first go around. Now I'm going to just kind of amp that up a little bit. The under posts are getting, or the posts on the other side are getting a little bit of black too. And then this one's got just a little bit of black. So now I'm gonna add some highlights onto the top. I'm going with my creamy tan color, and I'm gonna tip the top of this dark line up here with just a little hint of that highlight color, so it stands out a little bit more from the water, because it's almost the same tonal value as the water right now. It's a little bit darker, but not dark enough to pop enough to see it well enough. So I just kind of added that on there. And then on some of these posts, I need to add a little bit of brightness to them. So I'm going to use my light green, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of brown. This is the same color combination I kind of used in here, and a touch of white. So I want to add a little bit of highlight to these posts on the, I kind of wanted a little bit greener than that. So green and a little bit of brown, something like mossy kind of a color. And this is going to be in through here. We've got this in through here. something like this. And they're not all, I'm noticing they're not all the same color. They're just kind of, they've got this mossiness look to them. So something like this. This guy's got a little in here. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more green and brown. And you can certainly just kind of keep tweaking and fiddling with these colors, but it just looks really kind of, I don't have a better word for it than mossy-ish. It's been wet a lot, and just little hints of it over on these guys. This pole's got a little bit. We've got some in through here. This guy, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This guy's got some. This one's got some. This one's got it up top. And these guys are all under the shadow of that. This one's got it, this back one. And I think the trick is just to not have it all the same color. So as you're going about it, that's why I'm using multiple colors on my brush at the same time. So that way it will, I put a little bit more black on my brush to get to the bottom here. That way it will have diversity in the colors. If you just have one, if you just premix one color, you're just going to have a solid color and it might not look as natural. And then there looks to be just a little bit, I'm bringing some of that cream color back just to get the edge of the dock just on this wrapped around here, so it looks like that one post is kind of through the dock's edge, something like that. I think that looks good. I think that's good. So you can certainly fiddle with it. Let me just put a little bit more on the tops of these guys right here, because the top of these far ones have just a little bit, but not a lot. The underneath definitely doesn't. I think that looks good. I think I've got as much as I need to on that piece. Maybe a little bit more black on this guy. And then you can just fiddle with it as much as you need. If you want to go into your light blue and add a little more sparkles in your water, or you feel that, you know, you can get away with more darkness, maybe a little bit more dark blue, you can put a little bit more dark blue to show more shadow underneath the dock. Those are decisions that you can make on your own if you want to increase the intensity of the shadows underneath there. Maybe a little bit of black, maybe a little bit of dark blue. It looks like this is kind of even darker in through here, so I'm just kind of popping just a little bit more darkness in through there. And then once you've got that done, we're going to use the same brush for the next step. So you can just wash it and dry it. So just getting these little guys in here and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to finish the top of the tiki roof and there's little tiny ropes that are connecting all of these posts. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to use my small round brush, my number 3 round brush. The colors I'm going to use are that tan, brown, white, and black. And if I use any other colors, I'll let you know. So I'm going to start with a little bit of black on my brush. And I'm going to put some little shadowy stuff inside this tiki hut. So I just got black on my brush, and I didn't really water it down. I might have a little moisture on my palette, but I'm using the tip of my brush to pull down some of the little thatching edges. So something like this, just bringing those down in a kind of organic way, so they don't look too systematic. So just kind of pulling down. Oh, that's going to be a long one. There's actually a long one in the photo that I wasn't planning on doing, but I guess I just did it inadvertently, so it's fine by me. And I'm just kind of down this bottom edge. It's kind of the back edge of it. There we go, that looks good. And there's also kind of a dark area up at the top, just where the thatching kind of meets that top ridge. So just putting a little bit more darkness there. I think that looks good. Maybe just a little further here. There we go. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to wash my brush, And I'm gonna go into that tan color. So just picking up some of that tan. There's a bunch of the light thatching, almost looks like it's kind of catching the sun over here on this side. So I just got wet paint on my hand. I'm hardly touching my canvas. And what I'm doing is just using the very tip of my brush to get these really skinny, scraggly pieces of thatching to just kind of pop down a little bit, allowing for some of the darkness of the underlayer to peek through those pieces. That's also pretty light around this edge and through here. So I'm going to just use the tip of my brush with this dark color, or with this light color, to, I'm going kind of curvy. Curvy bottom left is going to give me this little bit of edge like that. Now what I can do is I'm going to pick up my tan plus a little bit of brown. So tan and brown, because it looks like as it goes up the roof, they're still light, but maybe not as light as that initial kind of mark I made. And then I'm just going to kind of, it almost looks like it's rose, but I am not, definitely probably not going to get the rose the way that they are in the photo, but we'll give it a good shot here. And again, just kind of picking up a little bit more brown with that tan on my brush. Just give this, right now I'm just kind of tapping, allowing for a similar type texture as I'm seeing in the photo, but I'm not going to get it perfect. I know I'm not. I'll try. We try to get it pretty good, but that looks pretty good. I'm going to actually pick up a little bit more of that tan, and I think I want to add a little like orangey tone to it. So I'm going to go with a little bit of red and yellow, maybe a little bit more yellow than that, with that tan to get a little bit more of a, more than that, be braver than that. There we go. To get almost like a little orangey hint to some of these. Yeah, there we go. That adds something fun. So I just felt like as I was looking at it that there was a little bit more wood texture look to it, like a little bit richer of a texture. So that's where I said to myself, I think I need to add a little bit more of that orangey type of hue to it to get it to not look so sun bleached. So that helped do that. And now I can go and steer my attention to the little ropes, because I think I'm satisfied with that. I don't really feel like I need to do much else, maybe just a little extra up and through here. And yeah, looks good to me. I'm satisfied. And then what I'm going to do, wash my brush. The ropes look super thin, so I'm going to water down some of my white. I probably should be using a smaller brush, but I think I can do this if I water down my white. And I like to spin my brush in my paint on the side of my palette, and that will point my bristles every time. If you have too much thick paint within the belly of the bristles, you won't be able to do this. So just make sure you kind of wash it out. And then it's just going to be a quick kind of long semi-curved kind of mark out to the next post. But on this side here, I can see that there, I want to go around the post, and then I just kind of hold my breath and do a skinny line. and it's on every single one of them. These side, it looks like it's kind of tied on the inside though. So let's tie it, I don't know, we're just going to make this up. We're going to tie it like that, and then this one will go to that one. So, ooh, I got to skip behind that. So because I am, we're just gonna do it. We're not even gonna watch the picture anymore. We're just gonna go for one. So I know that the back posts need to go to the back posts, and then the front posts need to go to the front post. So I'm going to just concentrate on one side first, which is the harder side, which will be the back side. So if it made it easier for you, you could certainly go in front of this front post, but or you just kind of skip it. So whatever is easier for you to do. And again, I am hardly touching my canvas, just a really tiny faint line, something like this. And again, you could certainly, you can droop it more, you can push harder, you can do whatever you want. I'm just, okay, so on this one, where does it go? I don't know where it goes. So we're just gonna make it go here. So I don't see where it goes in the, it looks like it might actually cross over here so people can't walk. Well, that's probably what it does. There's probably a don't pass here. So we're gonna go from here to here. We're gonna pretend like that's exactly what it's doing. 'Cause I don't know if it is or not. And then it looks like there's one from, let's say 1, 2, from this post to this post. So we're gonna go from here to here. And if you find that you've done it too dark or you're just not digging it, looks like there's a couple over on the other side, on the back there. There's a little thing here. You can always come back and use your watercolors to, the colors that you've used for your water to disguise any of these lines. So now I'll do my front ones. This one looks like it would go to the front too. So this guy's got, okay, we're just gonna go for it. So something like that. It looks like they're kind of tied on the other side of these posts. Like I can't see the end on this side, so I'm just gonna imagine where it would go, something like that. Sometimes you just do whatever you want. You know, I can't really discern what it is in the photo, so I'm just playing with it and just allowing myself to enjoy the process and let happen what's going to happen. I feel like I want a little highlight on the top of these posts too. So I'm just picking up a little bit of white and just kind of popping a little highlight on the top of the posts so we can see them like they're getting some sunshine. And there's a little like reddish thing over there. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that red and yellow on top of this post right here. I don't know what it is, probably just a little sign or something. So we'll just make that happen. And then I'm thinking that that's all I want to do. You could put little birds, you could do whatever you want, but I'm thinking that that's good. Maybe just a tiny bit, there's a little yellow and white. I feel like there needs to be something at the end of these guys. Oh, it didn't matter. A little bit of black. You know, sometimes I over detail. You don't really need to. It feels like this post needs to come out this side. That's why I'm like, let's just put this post here. I think that's good. I'm happy with that. So we are going to be using this same small little brush for the next step. So once you've got this done, you can wash and dry this little brush and get, oops, almost just dropped my water, and get ready for the next step. All right, so we are on to the final step. This is the final step of every painting, which is to sign it. So I typically sign mine in the lower left or the lower right. I think I want to sign this one in the lower left with brown paint. I like to sign mine, I'm going to use a little thinned out brown so it's kind of transparent. I like to sign mine with my initials, but you, of course, can sign yours however you want. You can make up a fun symbol, you can sign it on the back, you can hide your signature within the painting, which is always a clever thing to do. But those are the decisions that you get to make all on your own when you're creating your own creations. And that is going to conclude this painting. I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you learned a couple of tricks about tropical water and clouds and thatched roofs. And I look forward to painting and sipping with you again sometime.